Fora TV. The world is thinking.
Since you talked about the issue of legal California marijuana going over the borders into other states where it's not legal, that also came up in another study that you guys did dealing with whether or not Prop 19's passage would have an appreciable impact on the Mexican drug cartels.
Yeah, that was motivated by, there's this figure that's been floating around for 5 years that came out during the Bush administration that claimed that of all of the drug trafficking export revenues that these Mexican cartels make, that 60% of it comes from marijuana. That number's been floating around for 5 years, and in the study that we just released, we actually looked back to where the number came from, and we found that the takeaway is that no one should take that number seriously. First of all, it was literally in a report. Nobody knows how it was generated. Subsequent estimates from the Department of Justice show there was a wide range of estimates already out there. Third, if you actually believe these estimates, they imply a consumption level that's 3 times higher than the upper bound estimate you would get from the United Nations. And so, it just has no face validity. And then also 4 weeks ago, the Office of National Drug Control Policy actually publicly distanced itself from this figure. Realized this was a figure that was created by the Office of National Drug Control Policy, but during the Bush administration. And then finally, we came up with our own estimates. And we thought that the actual figure is probably closer to 20%. But getting back to your question, our takeaway on this was if Prop 19 only influences what happens in California, we don't think it's going to have much of an impact on the export revenues for these drug trafficking organizations. They have portfolios. They export cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and realize that California only accounts for a small portion of total consumption in the United States, and we have a lot of domestic production here. So if it only influences if it only influences California, we thought it may only reduce the total export revenues by 2 to 4%. That's not a lot. However, there is a scenario if the high-quality stuff is exported out at prices that outcompete the stuff that comes from Mexico, and it gets to the point to where the Mexican drug trafficking organizations say, you know what, we're not going to be pushing marijuana into the United States anymore, then they could lose between 13 to 23% of their total export revenues, significantly higher.
So, Richard, given what Beau was just saying, I know that one of the selling points of Prop 19 has been it would undercut the Mexican cartels, would undercut some of the gang crime that goes on here in California. What of this?
Well, first of all, to address the point of California doesn't, if we pass Prop 19, it still doesn't do anything for the other 49 states. Mm-hmm. But we do have to start somewhere. If we look at the history of repealing alcohol prohibition, New York and California repealed it before we repealed federal prohibition in the 20s. Actually, we legalized it here first, then it spread to other states, and finally the 21st Amendment legalized it federally, but only in states that chose to legalize it right away. And in fact, Kansas didn't legalize alcohol till 1946, Mississippi till 1966, 33 years after federal prohibition ended. So this is going to be state by state. We do have to start somewhere, to end the violence down in Mexico.